A small firmware push rolled out at 2 a.m., and the access control gateway stopped handing off badge reads for 2 hours. Elevators wouldn't accept calls, tenant teams were fielding angry texts and calls, and the landlord spent the morning firefighting overtime. Not catastrophic, but trust eroded fast. That little update is what we're unpacking today.
Welcome to Built, Wired, and Secured. I'm Alex Morgan. Today, we're talking about making updates practical in building technology, how to keep systems current without breaking tenant services. Joining me is Michael Harrington. Michael, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Alex. Happy to be here. From an operational standpoint, updates are boring until they're not. Tenants notice quickly when something goes sideways. Scheduling chaos, lost access, comfort complaints. And those are the things that show up in the inbox first.
Right. Let's slow down a second. When you say everything needs updates, what are the typical pieces of equipment and software we're talking about? Not everyone imagines the full landscape.
It's broad. Base controllers.
The building automation systems? So the heating and ventilation controllers fall in the same bucket as access systems?
Exactly. BAS, access control door controllers, IP cameras, PoE switches, sensors, gateway firmware that ties OT to the cloud, even tenant-facing mobile apps. Each has its own lifecycle and patch cadence. Ignore one, and you add a failure point to daily operations.
So why do teams let those drift? Is it neglect, or are there legitimate constraints?
A few real drivers: fear of downtime, unclear ownership after turnover, and procurement that treats hardware as a closed transaction. Capital budgets focus on the buy. Operations get squeezed later. Vendors sometimes hand over approved firmware at turnover, and everyone assumes it's fine forever.
That ownership gap resonates. So what's the practical balance? Uptime versus security and lifecycle work?
You can't aim for zero risk on both fronts. The practical answer is cadence and classification. Treat updates as planned work. Monthly windows for critical security, quarterly firmware reviews, and an annual lifecycle assessment that feeds capital planning. Make it predictable with windows and rollback plans.
You can't optimize both. But isn't that exactly what some executives expect? They want uptime and absolute security at the same time.
Right, and that's where governance matters. Start by asking, what breaks if this goes down? Classify critical systems and protect them differently. Target lower-risk devices for more frequent updates. Stage changes in a test segment and negotiate maintenance windows with tenants. Governance turns vague expectations into defined responsibilities.
When you say negotiate maintenance windows, some property managers wince. Tenants don't want elevator or door interruptions. What's a realistic approach to minimize impact?
3 layers. 1, prioritize by criticality, so those systems get conservative handling. 2, validate in staging, even if that's a single floor or a handful of devices. 3, use phased rollouts with clear rollback triggers. If something looks risky, defer it with documented reasons rather than guessing.
You recommend pushing vendors for transparency during procurement. Lifecycle dates, release notes, test images. I'm not sure I buy that easily. Vendors often resist sandbox commitments. How do you actually make them agree?
You have leverage if you tie it to acceptance and payment milestones. Make sandbox access and test images part of the deliverables. Score vendors during procurement on those capabilities and weight it in the decision. If a vendor resists, document it and lower their score. Operational hygiene should influence who gets the contract.
Got it. Put operational requirements into the procurement rubric so they're non-negotiable. That will make some procurement teams uncomfortable, but it makes sense.
Exactly. Treat it like warranty or testing requirements. Ask for known issue lists with every release and for advanced release notes. If a vendor can't provide that, you should know before you sign.
Let's make validation concrete. Walk me through a lightweight test someone at a mid-sized property can run without specialist tools.
3 steps. Step 1, replicate a production baseline on a staging segment, a single floor or small cluster. Step 2, apply the vendor update there during a controlled window and exercise key journeys. badge reads, elevator calls, a few HVAC set point changes. Step 3, run a 20-30 minute smoke checklist facilities can execute. User login, access event, camera stream check, basic HVAC control. If staging passes, plan a phased rollout with fallbacks.
Short, repeatable, and non-specialist. I like that. Quick question. How do you capture rollback triggers? Who hits the button if something fails during a phased rollout?
Define explicit criteria: failed smoke tests, repeated access errors, or safety system anomalies. Assign the decision to operations in partnership with IT. The person on call that window should have authority to stop the rollout and execute the rollback plan. Make it part of the change ticket. No surprises.
We need communication too. Tenants shouldn't be surprised, but they also don't want technical dumps. What's the right way to brief occupants?
Keep messages short and value-focused. What you're doing, when, and expected impact. The property manager owns tenant comms. Operations owns schedule and vendor coordination. IT owns network security. Clarity beats silence. If there will be no impact, say that. If there might be brief disruptions, say that and give the fallback plan.
Okay, time for examples. Can you give one where governance paid off and one where deferred updates caused pain?
Success first. A mid-size campus implemented quarterly patch windows, a small staging cluster, and a checklist. A vendor released a security fix that could have forced an emergency rush. Because they had staging and a window, they rolled it overnight with no tenant impact and logged everything for auditors. Cost? A few hours of scheduled labor. No outage drama.
Nice. That's the ideal outcome. Now the other side?
Deferred updates across a portfolio led to trouble. Camera firmware lagged, a vendor update later caused NVR indexing failures, and restoring compatibility required vendor intervention and 2 days of lost retention. The remediation cost was significant, and the reputational hit with a major tenant was worse than the bill.
Ouch. Some listeners will hear that and decide never to update. How do you persuade skeptical execs to adopt a steady program without triggering paralysis?
Don't chase perfection. Ask for repeatable, low-friction steps. Start with 3 immediate actions. Catalog the top 10 critical devices with lifecycle dates. Require vendors to provide release notes and test images at turnover. And schedule a quarterly 30-minute review to approve or defer patches with documented rationale. Small, measurable things move the needle.
Good. Those are actionable tonight. Before we close, give me 3 items a facilities leader should add to their O&M manual right now.
1. A critical asset register with lifecycle dates and vendor contacts. 2. A staged validation procedure. Short smoke tests non-specialists can run. 3. Procurement language that demands update transparency, sandbox access, and release notes. Add the quarterly review to your calendar, and you've got governance you can live with.
For folks who want exact phrasing for turnover and procurement, we've created a 1-page checklist and sample contract language. Visit GDS Technologies resources to download and adapt it. Built to last, wired with intention, secured for the real world.
Treat updates as routine risk management, not firefighting. Do the small governance things consistently, and you'll avoid expensive surprises.